Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, you lovely people, whichever one it is for you. Welcome back to Lilywhite Lane. I hope that you're all having a really good Monday and start to your week wherever you are in the world and whatever you are planning to get up to. Everton 3, Tottenham Hotspur 2. That was the full-time score in Tottenham Hotspur's last ever trip to Goodison Park yesterday afternoon. Everton were the deserved winners. Credit where it's due, fantastic performance from them, but they're a side who have struggled for goals all season, and we made them look like prime Barcelona at points yesterday. Disgusting stuff from Ange Postecoglou's Spurs side yet again. I thought Ange got it tactically wrong. I thought a majority of the players on the pitch were poor, and this relegation battle, it's not a joke anymore. It's a genuinely serious thing. We are genuinely in a relegation battle. Everton are 4 points off us. They win one game, win their game in hand. We drop points in a game, they go above us. If Wolves or Ipswich go on a run, which I don't think we will be able to do from now up until the end of the season, we might genuinely go down. This is not a joke anymore. This is not a funny thing to say in a conversation. Oh, we're so bad we might get relegated. We genuinely might be. I'm not being sarcastic. We genuinely might be relegated if one of those two clubs, Wolves or Ipswich, can really go on a run. Because whilst we may pick up a couple of wins here and there, a couple of great performances, we are not capable of a run right now. Even when we get our best players back. Ange even said himself yesterday, we'll be able to get a bit more consistency when we got our players back. Okay. So where was that consistency when we had our fully fit squad, eh? It wasn't there. Whilst we did beat teams well at points, the 4-1 against Aston Villa, the 3-0 against Manchester United, he seems to be forgetting the Ipswich game and Crystal Palace game. We're just as inconsistent without our best players as we've been with our best players. It doesn't make much difference. It's the tactics, how clueless they are, demanding players to basically play 3 or 4 different roles on the pitch. It just doesn't make sense. What was Archie Gray doing yesterday? Genuinely, can someone tell me? Look, I don't want to keep repeating myself about the same things over and over again about Ange. So I'll talk at first solely about yesterday and what I think he got tactically wrong, right? Because I look at the lineup and the first thing I see is that he's playing a back three. I think fantastic. This could really work if we drop the line back a little bit, because a back three plays to Dragozin's strengths in a slightly more defensive system. It plays to Ben Davies' strengths as a left centre back, and will also likely get the best out of Archie Gray playing a little bit more central. Fantastic stuff, right? Then I see we've got our fullbacks, and I'm thinking if we're playing a back three, surely they'll be out wide. Then I look a bit further up the pitch and I see Maddison starting. Brilliant. But then I see Maddison starting on the left wing. Why are we consistently not starting or playing one of our best players out of position? Maddison, for me, on his day, is one of the most talented people at this football club. Why are we not giving him the chance to show that talent in the number 10? That's where he's best. So how difficult is it? It's not rocket science. If you play one of your most talented players in their best position and give them a consistent run of games, you'll likely get the best out of them and the most out of them. But no, he's stuck him on the left wing. Fantastic stuff. Brilliant. Maddison on the left for some reason. He's put Heung-min Son central, which I don't have a huge problem with. I don't have a massive problem with. And then he's gone and stuck Kulusevski on the right. Kulusevski is nowhere near good enough on the right. Kulusevski, we've seen him play in the 10 at points this season, and he's been fantastic. Why are Kulusevski and Maddison not playing in the 10? Or Kulusevski maybe in the 8? Because we've seen them on the wings, we've seen them central, and they work a lot better central. So why are we not basing our starting lineups off that and playing them where they thrive in the team? It doesn't add up to me. But anyway, positives to take at first from the lineup. And then the game starts, and whilst we're playing a back three, they're on the halfway line, and with the ball, Archie Gray comes into the midfield. So with the ball, we are basically playing the exact same system, a back four with inverted fullbacks with a high line. And because of that, when Everton nicked it off us, and they did a couple of times leading up to that Njai goal, they've got a huge chance. One little pass through that line for Njai, he's up against our defence. Because the midfield joins in with the attackers press, and there's just no midfield, there's no 6, there's no holding player to stop them. The fullbacks are inverting so they can't get back to cover wide areas. You're in basically if you can win the ball off Spurs in transition when we commit players forward and play that high line. So whilst he started with a back three, he's still inverting the fullbacks, which hasn't worked out this season. And when we haven't inverted the fullbacks, the performances and results have been better. He's still not playing a number 6. to cover the centre-backs if we are playing that high on, and at points it turned from a back three into two centre-backs, and at times with a wing-back going forward, technically a back two, if you could class it as that, with the team on the halfway line. It just didn't make any sense tactically. We were being ripped to shreds for it. Everton were tearing us apart, and in the second half he decided to go one of these crap formations. It seems to be the 4-1-4-1 that he really likes, or the 4-2-4 when things aren't going well. Neither of them have worked. They limit our chance creation, and whilst we got those 2 goals towards the end, as I say, it don't mean diddly. It just makes it look a little bit better and buys this guy another week. So what, we scored towards the end, man. The performance was crap and the players only showed fight when the game was over. Credit to Mikey Moore. Looked fantastic. Great crossing. Start him then. Start him then. Why don't you play Maddison, a central player, in the centre and start Mikey Moore, who came on and looked our best player on the pitch? Great finish by Kulusevski, but where was that finish when it was 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, even at the beginning of the half? No, the players all start showing a little bit of fight, all want to be up for it a little bit more when the game is done and dusted and it's too hard to come back from, because the pressure's off, the pressure's relieved off their shoulders. We're going to lose this game, we're definitely not going to win it, so, you know, nothing to lose now. Honestly, man, a lot of these players are nowhere near as good as some of our fans hype them up to be. They are not title contending players. They're probably not top 4 players, but they're also not 15th place players. The reason we're not winning league titles with these players is because of the owners. The reason we're not in European places or in the top half of the table with these players is because of Ange Postecoglou. You're telling me that half of the teams above us don't have better squads than us? That's rubbish. Their managers get the most out of their players by playing to their strengths. Look at Iraola. Look at Thomas Frank. They play players. How about this, Ange? You play a centre midfielder in central midfield. You play a winger on the wing. Crazy, innit? But no, we want to stick Archie Gray at number 6 at centre-back, at right-back, at left-back. We want to put James Maddison at 10, which is where he's played all his career, on the wing. We want Solanke to basically do 2 roles. We want him to hold up the ball and drop deep, and we also want him to be that target man up top. Pick one, man, because the guy can't be in 2 places at once. Tactically clueless, the fight only came when the game was over. Another pathetic performance. Fans arguing on streams yet again. It's the same boring conversations week after week after week. It's the same problems persist. It's pathetic. We're a joke of a football club. The relegation battle isn't even a laughable thing anymore. It's a serious thing that we definitely need to pay attention to. And this club is on the decline. I said at the beginning of the season, if we don't make good signings, if we stick with Ange, and he doesn't turn things around, then we'll stay stationary. What I'd do to stay stationary, finish 6th or 7th now. Bottom half of the table, absolute shambles, pathetic stuff, week in, week out. And I'm sick of it, man. Yet again yesterday at Goodison Park, a poor, whimpering performance from the players. Tactically, stupid decisions made by our manager. The fans chanting Levy and Enoch out, fair play. We need to keep that movement going. They're the biggest problem at the football club, but they are not the reason we're currently sat 15th. They're the reason we're not sat 1st, 2nd, 3rd, maybe 4th. They're the reason we haven't won a trophy in 20 plus years. But they are not the reason, I repeat, not the reason we are in a relegation battle. We should seriously start looking elsewhere now. But I get a feeling that those 2 late goals are going to keep this guy around. And for some reason, there's this backing of this manager. There's this group of fans, and fair enough to those who are behind Ange, but I've gotten hate comments on my channel for months now. You don't know Ange. Ange has got a winning mentality. Winning mentality, a guy who comes out and says as long as we're entertaining and I'm okay with conceding goals. But he's got a winning mentality, has he? An arrogant guy who snaps at every question. Look at him in the interview yesterday. There are the supporters of Ange who are genuinely behind him because he's a Spurs manager, and fair play. They can see things are going wrong, but no, I'm going to back this quite till the end. But it's the Ange supporters who just look at things so blinkedly. You don't want to accept the facts. You don't want to accept that their man is failing. Can't debate footballing points. So when people debate with them about Ange Postecoglou and about Spurs, they immediately resort to abusing that person, to attacking that person, to patronising that person. You don't know Ange like I do. You're toxic. You're negative. You're not a proper Spurs fan. Well, I'm not a proper Spurs fan. Or those who doubt this guy aren't proper Spurs fans for having reservations and doubts about a guy who has us 15th, who has the worst win percentage out of any manager at this football club in donkey's years. Toxic and negative. Or is it more realistic? Do I want Ange to succeed? Yeah. Do I want these players to succeed? Yeah. Am I happy when they don't? No, not at all. I love this football club and I want this football club to do well. But sticking with this guy is persisting with someone who is failing. It's persisting with someone who is breaking this club down. Ange is building something. He's building himself a grave. That's what Ange Postecoglou is doing, and he's going to throw us and the football club right in it before he's done. We need to get rid of this guy. Now look, personal choices for me. Personal choices. People say, oh, what manager's going to join us, mid-season? Whilst we may not be a massive club, the support, the stadium, the facilities, they can bring in managers. They have brought in big managers in the past. I'm not saying go out there and get someone like an Allegri that people have said, but I think you should try and go for a few managers. Thomas Frank, I think you should try and go for. Iraola, I think you should try and go for. Maybe Terzic. Terzic, great stuff at Dortmund, tactically sound, plays with a back three, more defensive with wing backs. It would suit our system brilliantly. Someone like Glasner as well. The football that he plays, a two up top with a target man and then inside forward, that'd be Solanke and Son. A natural number 10, that's your Maddison. Two wing backs staying out wide, Porro and Udogie, in a back three, Dragozin, Van der Ven and Christian Romero. That sounds pretty good to me. Sounds pretty good to me, in all honesty. But the two that I'd really try and go for, Thomas Frank and Iraola. Iraola has done a magnificent job at the Cherries. He really, really has. Taking Bournemouth, as I say, from a relegation battle now a season and a half on to competing for Europe and maybe even Champions League. I watched them, they adapt mid-game, they make tactical changes. The manager plays to their player strengths, gets the most out of them. They're attacking, but at the same time, not stupidly open defensively. They're dangerous, they're solid. They're everything you want in a football team, and they're hard to beat. Going to St James's Park, which has been one of the toughest grounds in the season this year, against the most informed side, maybe in Europe right now, but definitely in England, and beating them, as I say, comfortably, being by far the better team. That's the guy I want, man, what he's doing at Bournemouth. Thomas Frank's a fella who I've admired for many years. Turning Brentford from a mid-table championship club into an established top Premier League side who are competing for Europe or far clear of the relegation zone every season. They've lost big players like Bournemouth. Bournemouth lost Solanke. This is why I'm not buying Spurs fans ever using the Harry Kane argument as to why it made things difficult for Ange, because Bournemouth lost Solanke, right? They've been doing all right. I'm not saying Marco Silva, but Fulham lost Mitrovic. They've been doing all right. Oh, they brought in replacements, so did we. Solanke, right? And Brentford, Ivan Toney. Oh, it'll all go tits up when Ivan Toney goes. It really hasn't. And Belmo and Visser have been banging in goals for fun. They still look a fantastic team. So, look, for me, those are the two that I'd go for. I'd be happy with someone like Terzic, Marco Silva. But genuinely looking at that Premier League side or that Premier League table, does any other manager right now in the Premier League have us sat 15th or worse in the Premier League? I genuinely don't think so. This guy has to go for me. He has to go. The fans, as I say, are arguing everywhere. The football club's in crisis yet again. I'm bored of it. I'm sick of it. I'm going to shoot off, guys. It hasn't been a long debrief, but I don't want to say the same things over and over again. I've made my point about, what was it? 5 points out of a possible 30, I believe it is. I've brought up the same points over and over again. I wanted to bring up a few different ones today, tactically about Ange, about managers who I'd like to go in for, and about the fans arguing and patronising each other, as I say. Look, I'm going to head off, guys. Hopefully things pick up. Hoffenheim in the week. Hopefully we've got a new man in the dugout. If we don't, that Europa League status is at risk. Take care. All the best, though. Have a smashing day. And as always, Comedy Spurs, Enoch and Levy out. I nearly said in Big Ange we trust. I haven't said that in a year. Enoch out, Ange out, Lange out. Let the club rot. Let it die, in the words of the Lorax. Take care, guys. I'm joking, obviously. I want things to get better. All the best, though. Have a good one. Comedy Spurs.